All right, well, it's my pleasure to speak for 10 minutes here about the world's largest disease prevention project, which is, of course, Rotary's PolioPlus project. So I want to kind of touch on four things in the few minutes that I have. First, about World Polio Day, which just happened, about the accomplishments that we've done over the last 30 years, what you can do, and then a little bit about where we're headed or what the end game is going to be. So World Polio Day was on October the 24th. There was a live stream that came from Philadelphia. How many of you saw the live stream? Yeah, okay, not very many. Well, that is still available if you go to endpolio.org or on the front page of the Rotary website, both. It's there. It's about a 45-minute live stream there that has Rotary and World Polio experts that speak about where we are in polio, and I would highly encourage you to see that. But World Polio Day was really a special day, not just for Rotarians, but really also for our vaccinators, many of which are females who are risking their lives for giving vaccinations in Pakistan and Afghanistan. Also for our advocates all over the world, for our donors, of course, which are largely Rotarians and other people like the Gates Foundation. It was really an opportunity for us all to come together and to see what kind of progress that we've made and how much has changed since we started this project. Rotary has really changed in the last 30 years. We've become a lot more international. We've found that we can take on bigger projects, and we've made tremendous partnerships as a result of this. And one thing has really remained the same, and that is really Rotary's commitment to finish this job of eradicating polio. And for that, I really want to thank not only Rotarians, but also religious scholars, government leaders, donors all over the world that have really helped with that, which one day will help us reach the point where every child will be safe from polio. So I would encourage you to look at that live stream and then to prepare for next year's World Polio Day, which will be on October the 24th next year, and it'll be another big event. In addition to that, for this World Polio Day, we had a matching event of foundation recognition points. And I want to read the list of clubs that participated, and I mostly want to do this to see if you see that your club is not in there, then maybe I haven't received your list of donors. So here are the ones that I've heard from: 288 Corridor, Alvin Sunrise, and I want to mention Alvin Sunrise. We've done this for several years now. Every year, Alvin Sunrise has had almost every one of their members donate $100 or more. And so they've gotten a great benefit from this. What a return on investment they get from that. So Baytown, Brazosport raised over $36,000, something like that, for polio in their World Polio Day. Fantastic. Brazos River, Columbus, Champion Sunrise, Cy-Fair, E-Club of Houston, El Campo. I think there wasn't anybody from El Campo here. I know Mindy is out of town. El Campo is going to name 36 new or next level Paul Harris Fellows as a result of this World Polio Day match. So fantastic for El Campo. Highlands, Houston, Houston Skyline, Houston West Chase, LaPorte, North Shore, Richmond, Seabrook, Sugarland, Tomball, and West U. Those are the clubs that I've heard from. So if your club donated or your members donated $100 or more, I need to hear from them or they won't get the match. And then we had a number of clubs that had World Polio Day events, and I know this isn't all of them, but Houston Skyline, North Shore, Texas Gulf Coast After 5, Angleton, Brazosport, and West U all had events that were on or right around World Polio Day. So next year, plan on your club doing more of that. The things that we have accomplished in the Global Polio Eradication Initiative are really startling. The numbers are hard to get your head around. The number of children that we've immunized. Polio cases, of course, been reduced down 99.99%. We've had 25 cases so far this in 2018, which of course is 25 more than we'd like to have. But it's when you consider the number of children. Would you like to guess how many children there are in the 3 final countries, Nigeria, Afghanistan, and Pakistan, that are under age 5? A lot? Okay, good. About 90 million. So that's a lot of kids that we're immunizing every day. That middle number is the one that I think we should focus on more than anything else. 17.5 million children that have been spared from being paralyzed already. So it's the world's largest health service project ever in the world, and we should be really proud of what we've already accomplished. So what can you do? Well, obviously donate. Our district was recognized at the Toronto Rotary International Convention as being one of the top 20 polio giving districts in the world. That's a pretty special recognition. Stay informed. There's lots of information, of course, on the Rotary website, on the InPolio website. I produce a weekly newsletter. If you'd like to receive it, just let me know about polio. Tell somebody else about it. I guarantee you could walk outside this room and there'll be people in this church that do not know that that's Rotary's biggest project. Contact the media. A lot of you have great resources to contact the media in your communities. Tell them about how much we've given as a district. Tell them about how much your club has given, how much Rotary has given to polio, and how we've reduced the cases by 99.9%. We do have a PolioPlus Society that's comprised of members who agree to give $100 per year or more to polio every year until we're finished, and we'd love for you to join that. And realize the consequences of failure, because we really can't stop at this point. If there have been studies done that have said that if we were to stop immunizing today, that in just 5 years or so, we'd be back up to 200,000 cases of children being paralyzed. So because there's so much more mobility that there was 30 years ago. So we really have to continue this till the end. So that kind of brings you up to date for today. Let me see where I am on time here. Oh, yeah, okay. I'm good. So let me tell you about some things that have been done just recently that I've been told are real things that have changed this. Ted, I tell you what, I'm gonna run out of time. So if you have other questions about polio, come to the breakout session for Foundation 101. It's going to be in the second set of breakouts. So and we can talk more fully about it. One of the things we've really learned through this project is that we have to work on great relationships with the religious, civic, and government leaders in these countries. We can't just go into a lot of countries and say, here's what we're going to do. You know, it's just kind of like with global grants. We can't just go over and say, here's what we think you need. We have to convince them that this is really something that's going to change the lives of their children. One of the things that's a huge game changer is GPS technology that they have on cell phones all over the whole world now. So like in Nigeria, all of the vaccination teams carry these with them, so they can tell exactly where they've been, exactly where they've missed, and they can type into that cell phone how many children they immunized and how many they missed. And that's really changed things in those countries. Nigeria says that's the thing that allowed them to go 2 years now without a case of polio. Of course, the Gates Foundation is still matching $2 for every dollar that we give. Pretty great bang for the buck when you can give a dollar and get $3 worth of credit for it. We're in the process of changing from the oral polio drops to the injected vaccine, which we'll be doing over the course of the next several years. Every country is already using the injected vaccine, but one of the problems was we didn't have enough of it. We couldn't come up with enough of the injected vaccine. We went to the Gates Foundation. The Gates Foundation went to Sanofi Pasteur, which is the largest manufacturer of vaccine in the world, and asked them, what can we do to buy it cheaper? And they said, well, buy a whole lot of it and then give us a check for it before we start. And the Gates Foundation said, we'll take 1 billion doses. So that's pretty fantastic that we have partners like that in this project. We changed the oral polio vaccine to one without the type 2 component, which is the type 2 component has been causing a problem with vaccine-induced cases. And I'll explain that more in the breakout session if you want to know more about that. But we did that everywhere in the world on in a certain day in April in 2016. Just think of how difficult that is. So there were about 500,000 locations where we needed to have cold vaccine of the new type and have all the old vaccine destroyed all in the same day. And surprisingly, that went pretty much without a hitch. So when we get to 0 cases, what's going to happen? We're going to start a new program, and it's going to be called the Countdown to History. And it's really when we get down to 0 wild polio cases, 0 vaccine-induced polio cases, and 0 polio samples in the environment, which we're testing the water in a lot of countries to make sure there's not polio in the water. So when we get to that point, we're going to start this 3-year countdown. We're going to change at that point to all injected vaccine, and we'll have to continue immunizing for a while after we get to 0 cases for at least 3 years. We're going to have to support a wind down of this program because we have about 50,000 employees that are actually giving vaccines out there, and these employees, we can't just say, okay, we're done, because they're spending about half of their time on measles and other things. So we can't really stop. So we'll have to continue some funding, or better yet, we'll have to convince other people to continue funding this program. We'll have to control the stocks. We have to keep some polio virus on hand because we have to have it if we have to make vaccines in the future. And you know, that's a dangerous thing, and we want that to be very secure. The Rotary International Board, I'm told, has set aside $10 million for public relations once we get to 0 cases, which is fantastic, so that the headline doesn't read, Bill Gates eradicates polio. So we're going to have to be the ones that tell that story. And an enduring legacy of Rotary will be the fact that we'll be saving about 500,000 children per year from being paralyzed every year forever. And Ian Risley said, that's the ultimate in sustainability, is forever. So that'll be a fantastic legacy of Rotary. It is going to be one of humanity's greatest achievements when we get to the end. And I'm really convinced that we can use this as Rotarians to grow Rotary and make it a stronger organization with more partners and do more things. So I want to thank all of you who are all of our leaders in our district who have donated to polio, who have lent your voice to tell others about polio, and thank you for all the wonderful things that you've done. And like I say, if you have more questions about polio or other things about the Rotary Foundation, will join us in the second breakout in room 207.